My husband and I had our wedding last year. The venue was beautiful and bordered a lake. Unfortunately, during the reception, one of the young children snuck away from their parents and decided to go for a swim despite not being able to. This was tragic and devastating and obviously cut the day short. We haven't really spoken to the parents since then, as we weren't close to them aside from seeing them on holidays, which hasn't happened this year. We are still Facebook friends though. When our first anniversary came, I made a post celebrating our anniversary with a few wedding photos. I didn't think anything of it until the comments came flooding in. I woke up to 30 comments and 15 missed calls. The top comment was from the mother of the child, who was outraged about it. She wrote a very long comment about how my post was disrespectful of the tragedy that had happened that day and how dare I post that and not mention her child, and of course talking to her first. 30 comments later, and it was clear that the entire family had clearly started to take sides in a battle I didn't realize I created. As of today, we're at 150 comments. My friends and my parents are involved too. Half of his family is screaming for me to take it down, apologize to the parents, and show more respect, possibly by even celebrating our anniversary on a different day. Some of the family think that we should still be able to celebrate our anniversary on an actual day, but just keep it offline to keep peace. I don't think I did anything wrong with my post, and I feel like we should be allowed to celebrate our anniversary just like anyone else. I'm not celebrating the tragedy, I'm celebrating my wedding. Am I the idiot? You're the idiot. Something awful happened at your wedding. It wasn't your fault, but it's something that you have to deal with. I'm very sorry that you will never be able to have a normal anniversary, but that's a small burden compared to having to deal with the loss of a child. Those that say you should just celebrate privately are absolutely correct. Do not put anything celebratory where the grieving parents can see it. People have been celebrating anniversaries for centuries before Facebook existed. You'll survive without making public announcements of your love for friends to see. Not the idiot, but maybe insensitive. I went between all three of the choices thoroughly until I arrived at this conclusion. This is such a raw event. A happy occasion that is marred by the unfortunate passing of a child. You have every right to celebrate your wedding. But not all anniversaries are happy. The first year following a loss is difficult, especially that single day. That said, people still have joyous occasions on tragic days. Celebrating on a different day. Those people are idiots. The parents of the kid. Slightly idiots. You don't need to memorialize their kid in your post, that's their job. Everyone's the idiot here. I too would want to celebrate this milestone, but what do you even write on Facebook for this post? The best day ever. Wish we could go back. Everything that is celebratory about that day in any post would have come off diminishing the child who died or just plain gross. I was on board with your in-law suggestion for a new wedding until they said living in sin. That's ridiculous because you are married. But if you can, take the free wedding. Make happier memories. I'm getting married this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it so much. My soon-to-be wife is amazing, and her family is just as awesome. My family, on the other hand, well, let's just say I'm the black sheep of this family, because I'm not an entitled person or arrogant idiot. So, I have a lot of family coming into town from up north. We live in Texas and extended family lives mainly in the upper Midwest. I didn't even want to invite the majority of them in the first place because I don't know who they are and don't have much of a relationship with them. A few weeks ago my mom said that she and one of the cousins talked about having a post-wedding sandwich dinner at my mom and dad since A, we aren't having dinner at the wedding, and B, this will be the first time a lot of this extended family has gotten together down in Texas. So my mom said your dad's cousin and I are thinking of this after your wedding, around 5:30, and then going to your brother's hockey game at 6:15. Me okay, have fun, you're not going to come? No, wife and I are going to order pizza and enjoy our first night as man and wife. Oh, okay. And I thought that was that. 2 weeks later, the same thing. Mom, it would mean a lot if you and your wife would come to have dinner at the house with everyone. Me, I've already told you we have plans, I know, but it would mean so much to the family that you never get to see. We have plans. Okay, sorry for trying to do something nice. Meanwhile, I'm filling in my soon-to-be wife on this, and she's like, is your family crazy? That's our wedding night and we get to spend it the way we want to. I tell her I know, but this is what's happening, and it probably won't be dropped. Then, last night, I'm watching the Stars vs Blues game with my mom, youngest brother, and his girlfriend when my mom says, "Your other brother is texting you, please answer him, because he's bugging me now." My other brother, who I care for, but don't have the greatest relationship with, texts me, "Hey, what's this I hear, that you aren't coming to dinner after the wedding?" It's exactly as it sounds. Why not? We have plans. To do what? Husband and wife plans. He sends back a horrible emoji. I text a future missus, saying we are not going to my mom's Saturday. She can't believe they are still trying to get us to go and doesn't understand why they won't take no for an answer. I asked my grandma about this, who said it's your wedding. Don't tell anyone what you're doing or where you're going afterward. You spend the night with your wife. You're entitled to that. So, anyone who reads this, am I an idiot for not wanting to go to my mom's the night of my wedding? As much as I hate to say it, everyone's the idiot here. Your guests are coming from out of state. Etiquette dictates that you owe them a meal or two, to be totally accurate. You said you didn't want to invite them, yet you did. If you wanted to keep its cake and punch, then you keep it to locals. Your family are idiots for pushing you for more than you wanted, but you are an idiot for going along with it, but then only half-adding it. You're the idiot. You're having a wedding, inviting people, and not even providing dinner. Presumably, all these people will be bringing you gifts. At the least, they're coming down to say hello to you. To start off saying they are entitled while you collect their checks and tell them to piss off is hysterical. No one is saying to spend the next 72 hours with them. You can swing by for an hour to say hello, take some pics, catch up and then leave. It's been done that way for decades. Marriage specifically joins families, and your wife sounds like an idiot being as selfish as you are. Not the idiot. Your mother is a manipulative idiot though. You have more composure than I would in the same position. If it were me, by now, I'd have bluntly told her, it's my wedding night. I'm going home to make love with my wife in marital bliss, and, if you have an issue with that, you can swallow it along with the cheap sandwiches you'll be eating while I'm making love. She's clearly trying to assert dominance in your marriage. If you go, which I know you say you're not, but if you do cave, it'll be her sign that she can control your marriage. Don't let her do that. I am a high schooler. I went to a public school up until about a month ago when school closed, and this is actually about an argument that happened when I was in school. My parents are really nosy and invasive. They'd read my texts, my notes to friends, when I was a kid, would just never give me any privacy. And it's screwed, they always had opinions on my friends, my teachers, etc. They'd always interfere in stuff that I didn't want them to, like if I had a disagreement with another kid at school when I was younger, they'd force a meeting about it, even if I thought I'd resolved it myself. They were always micromanaging my school too, like the school has a set schedule for classes, but they thought they knew better than the teachers and tried to get me into different classes. Anyway, I've found the best way to stop it is to never say anything meaningful about my life or my friends. So I've made a set of rules for talking about my life when we have daily family dinners and they make me talk about my day. Never mention the same person twice if I can help it. I sometimes have to bring up the same teacher more than once because I see them every day though. Never talk about conflict. Talk about boring stuff in a lot of detail. So when they ask me to talk about my day, it goes like this every day. In the first period I had study hall and I noticed my skin was very dry and I thought about what kinds of lotion I might try. I asked this girl Anna what lotion she uses and she said it was Aveeno. Ramble on about skincare for a while. In the second period, I had math and it was good. I like calculus a lot and math is my favorite subject. Ramble about the day's math lesson. In the third period, I had history and we had a substitute teacher. She was very nice and had a very pretty shirt on. I asked her where she got it and she said the Gap, which surprised me because I usually don't like the Gap. My favorite stores at the mall are, ramble about a list of stores I like. And on through the 8th period. It's worked okay for a while until about a month ago when my parents, my dad especially, yelled at me about how I never tell them anything. They don't know who my friends even are, I don't tell them stuff. I said that I tell them about my day every day and I tell them a lot, about every class I have, and all sorts of things on my mind. My dad was really pissed off about it, saying that every time he asks about someone I've told him about, I don't have anything more to say about them. Don't I talk to anyone more than once? I said that I just like talking to a lot of people and having a lot of friends. That's not wrong. Am I the idiot for not saying more meaningful stuff? Not the idiot, they conditioned you not to share information by infringing on your privacy and personal space. This is a defense mechanism that makes life tolerable while you live with them. You are young, but you do deserve privacy. You know who else deserves privacy? Your friends who are confiding in you and don't want to share information with your parents. You keep up with your boring long-winded conversations. Entertain yourself with them by making them as boring as possible. You are doing nothing wrong. They don't own your thoughts. Not the idiot, and it's bad your parents are like this. At some point, I'd suggest bringing receipts and confronting them about their past behavior. It's tricky and I wouldn't know how they'd react, but perhaps if they bring up something specific they're annoyed you're not talking about, maybe bring up one example of how they overstepped the last time they did that. See how that goes and decide if it's worth doing again or just keeping your head down. Not the idiot. Tell them you find it hard to make friends after the way they talk about the ones you've had in the past. Or, start making up problems about students who don't exist and act confused when your parents bring it up at a school conference. Alright, maybe neither of those are actually good ideas, but they're fun to think about. I'm sorry you're having to deal with parents like this. I, 33, have been married for over 7 years, and I have been struggling with health issues that prevented me from having a healthy pregnancy. I've miscarried 3 times and both me and my husband are becoming frustrated and we've literally lost any hope. This has clearly become a sensitive topic for us and I can't help but feel absolutely horrible whenever I think about it. My brother Sam and his fiancée have been together for 2 years now. She's a bit rude and would constantly bring up the fact that I can't have kids by making backhanded comments. For example, she told my mom and dad after I miscarried for the 2nd time that the family won't have any grandchildren till she and my brother have kids. And talked about how much pressure I must be feeling since the clock was ticking because women over 30 have less chances of having a healthy pregnancy. Even implied that my husband will eventually leave since he had a right to have his own kids, since I can't give him that. As a result, I've distanced myself from my brother and my family because she was present at their house the whole time behaving like this. I had my 3rd miscarriage this past week and I'm still dealing with complications both physically and mentally. I got a text from my brother's fiancée the next day. Literally, after I got out of the hospital, that she was sorry I miscarried and that she was happy to tell me she was pregnant. In the same text, I couldn't help but notice the sarcasm in her text, especially when she decided to invite me to my own parents' house to celebrate, completely disregarding what I just experienced. I showed it to my husband, then I blocked her immediately. She found out and she told my whole family. Told them that I blocked her right after I found out she was pregnant and used the fact that I didn't visit because I was being resentful and jealous. My brother was angry that I blocked her. He told me I was clearly being bitter and disrespectful. My brother keeps parroting her words and won't even see anything wrong with her behavior. It's always been like this, but now it's worse since she's pregnant and everyone is trying to please her, that I ruined this for them and that I shouldn't hate on my future niece, nephew, out of spite. Both my mom and dad weren't happy with what I did. Mom even tried to say my husband made me do this because we're too bitter to be happy for my brother and his fiancée. The extended family heard the news and said they were shocked I did this, saying that I'm always known to be a nice person who doesn't pull this type of nonsense. I didn't feel like what I did was wrong, but now I do. I feel so horrible, but given how she treated me in the past, I figured she did this deliberately. Not the idiot. There are appropriate times to announce a pregnancy. The same text as consoling you on a miscarriage is the exact wrong time, and she knew that, and she did it anyway. If you want to discuss why it was so inappropriate, and make sure to include the past advice for your husband to leave you because you're apparently such a bad wife, then go ahead, but I don't think it's necessary. She's a big girl. She knows what she's doing. Not the idiot. Forward the text to your mom showing how the fiancé said sorry you miscarried, I'm pregnant, and ask your mother how would she feel or react in that situation. You can also forward the text to your brother and any other flying monkeys who come at you. A simple question of "do you really think this is an appropriate message to send someone who just had a miscarriage" should be enough to get people thinking for themselves and not blindly believing the malice being spread. Not the idiot. If you had blocked her just because she had told you her news and there was no other history, then I'd be judging differently. But wow. Your sister-in-law is a horrible person. As is your brother. You're allowed to set up your own boundaries. I'd tell everyone that while you're happy for brother and sister-in-law, you're still grieving the loss of your child and that you'd appreciate the ability to process your emotions. And if the family can't respect that, then you're sad to find out they're not as supportive as you had hoped. My side of the family is very close, and our niece, call her M, is getting married in a few months. The ceremony is halfway across the country, and I've been saving for several months so our family of 5 can fly out for it. The venue is upscale and beautiful. The ceremony will be a formalish event, she said. It fits most closely with a cocktail. The husband doesn't dress up. He wore a tux for his best friend's wedding when he was 20, and that's the last time he's worn a tie. He wore jeans and a casual sport coat for our wedding. That was fine with me, it was his wedding too, and the ceremony was immediate family only. When I broke the news about M's wedding, adding that we'd rent a suit instead of making an otherwise useless purchase, he said no. I'm not wearing a suit. I guess I'll be the only one there not in a suit. I told him that, if he won't wear the appropriate attire then he can just stay home, and everyone will know that he's a whiny butt baby who thinks his personal preference is more important than a special family event for someone he says he loves. I added nice priorities there, honey. My mom and brother, M's dad, said you are the idiot. Just ask M if she cares, but they're sure she won't. N's mom says I'm not the idiot, but my delivery could have been better. I disagree, it was perfect for my husband. I don't have very many friends to ask, and I'm not asking M. Weddings are stressful enough without worrying about inconsiderate guest questions. What do you think? Not the idiot. Reminds me of my situation. I had one request of my brother for my wedding, and that was to please dress nicely. I came over to his house and asked him to not wear jeans or even khakis because our wedding was more formal. I know he has nice clothes, I've seen him wear them. But hey, what does he show up in? Jeans and a short-sleeved beach shirt. It was so disrespectful. He felt uncomfortable and looked out of place. He lived 20 minutes from the venue, was asked to go home and change. He left and never came back. It took many years to get our relationship back. I felt it was a big slap in the face. Not the idiot, he is absolutely a whiny butt baby. The wedding isn't about him or his preferences, he can tough it out and wear something nice for a few hours. That said, I also asked for people to wear cocktail attire, and several people showed up in jeans and t-shirts. Maybe it was the champagne I'd been drinking since breakfast, but I honestly didn't mind. They were there to celebrate with us and it was an awesome day. It's possible your niece might not care too much. Not the idiot, and honestly leave him at home. Tell him he can show up in a suit or not at all, or he can ask M himself and embarrass himself, not go through you. You're not his mom, and it's not on you to persuade him to dress himself appropriately like a freaking toddler. If he won't wear a suit at the end of all that, he can stay home or at your hotel room, but you're not bringing him as your date.